go again? Well, it's nice to know that at least one of my predictions came true, even if that prediction was that my gang theory would be proven wrong in the very next episode of RWBY Volume 4. Nailed it! But that's what you get when you make theory videos while the show is releasing new content, and that's a risk I'm willing to take. So, it's time to get back on the Ursa and talk about something else that's been on my mind lately. Is Emerald evil? Sure, she's a villain, that much is clear. But for all we know, she could simply be on the wrong side. Some of the points I'll be making are based on what we've seen of Emerald in Volume 4 thus far, so obvious spoilers. You have been warned. You're probably already up in arms about this. I mean, most of the terribleness that we were forced to witness in Volume 3 couldn't have happened without Emerald's involvement. Her semblance played a huge role in Cinder's nefarious plans. But just because Emerald does what Cinder tells her to do, does that mean that she's invested in the world that Cinder, through Salem's orders, is trying to create? I hear what you're thinking through my totally existent internet telepathy. But she gets annoyed with RWBY and friends because of how happy they are all the time. Yeah, but that doesn't mean she's evil. That just means she's grumpy. Being annoyed with other characters doesn't make her evil any more than it makes Weiss evil. Not only that, but Emerald gets annoyed with Mercury too, and for all we know, it could be his fault she's in a foul mood most of the time. So what reason does Emerald have to play along with the rest of the baddies? When we're first introduced to her character, Mercury teases her and calls her a master thief. When Cinder first meets her, Emerald had just stolen a ring from a jewelry store. In the same episode, we hear Cinder tell her, "Follow me and you'll never be hungry again," because apparently she attended the same leadership seminar as Scar. Emerald thanks her for this, and it's a genuine expression of gratitude. If we couple that with lyrics from the Volume 3 song, "I'm the One," it makes her origin that much clearer. I'm the one who rose out of filth and was loved by no one. This makes me think that Emerald became a thief simply to survive. Maybe she was living on the streets and forced to steal in order to feed herself. If this is the case, then Cinder's promise of being well-fed is understandably tempting. Cinder was her savior. She offered Emerald the necessities to stay alive and a sense of purpose, and all Emerald had to do was what Cinder told her. Does that mean that Emerald shares Cinder's beliefs? I'm not so sure. In the episode Battle of Beacon, after Cinder successfully stages the attack on Vale during the Vital Tournament, we see Cinder, Mercury, and Emerald on the rooftops taking video of the chaos. Cinder and Mercury revel in it. They even have smiles on their faces. Cinder calls it beautiful, but Emerald views the destruction with hesitation, refuting Cinder's comment with, "It's almost sad." She's watching as innocent people are being attacked and killed, and it seems like this is more than what she thought she signed up for. Of course, I think it's clear that she and Mercury murdered Tuxin, and she obviously had no qualms about attacking the Fall Maiden. But maybe Emerald justified her previous actions by thinking of her targets as being directly involved in the opposition. The citizens of Vale haven't taken a side in Salem's war. These people didn't choose to fight against her in any way. Is this the moment Emerald realized that Cinder doesn't differentiate soldier from civilian? The pilot episode of Volume 4 opens with Grimm crawling out of strange pits of liquid, implying that this is where they come from. We then see that Emerald and Mercury are watching from the safety of Salem's court. Mercury is obviously disturbed by this sight, but look at Emerald. She's horrified. And while she's acting as Cinder's voice, Emerald is nervous. This is a trait we've never seen from her before. The Emerald we know up to this point is cool and confident, but her demeanor around Salem is the complete opposite of that, making me think that she's somehow afraid of Salem, a little bit more than what you would expect. But if she was devoted to the cause, what reason would she have to be so timid? Out of all the villains we've seen at this point, I think Emerald is sort of an odd duck. All of the others really seem like they enjoy what they do, or at least that they have an ultimate goal in mind. But Emerald doesn't strike me as the type of person who enjoys making other people suffer. I do, however, think she takes pride in defeating her foes and overcoming obstacles, But how many people don't take pride in their own successes? Emerald is different from the rest of the baddies because it seems to me like she actually has a heart under her rough exterior. At the very least, she doesn't seem as far gone as some of her comrades. It would be interesting to see Emerald pull a Zuko and realize that she's on the wrong side of things, and try and make up for the part she's played in Salem's game. She's obviously made some bad decisions in following some truly awful people, but she's not the only character in RWBY who has made some mistakes in their past. So, who would be receptive to a repentant Emerald? RWBY naturally comes to mind. After all, her heart is full of fluffy bunnies and sparkly rainbows, right? Right! Alternatively, Emerald is the one responsible for marring her sister's reputation and getting her disqualified from the Vital Tournament, as well as facilitating the murder of one of RWBY's friends. So there's a possibility that RWBY might not react so well if Emerald had a change of heart. Weiss is currently struggling with an inner conflict of her own. But if the incident with her and Blake in Volume 1 has taught us anything, it's that, given enough time to think about it, Weiss will come around. But you better believe that she will fight tooth and nail to make Emerald feel terrible about herself before she gets to that point. Yang is sort of the wild card, in my opinion. On one hand, she's generally a carefree spirit with an open mind and an open heart. But on the other hand, she's recently gone through some changes that have forced her to rethink a lot of things, specifically the safety, or lack thereof, of the line of work she's chosen to go into. Then, of course, there's Blake, who is in the position to relate to Emerald the most. In Volume 1, she recounts her tale of growing up in the White Fang, and in the episode Black and White, she tells Sun, "I decided I no longer wanted to use my skills to aid in their violence." We have yet to learn the full extent of her history in the White Fang, but we do know that she did things for them that she deeply regrets. While she was with them, the White Fang evolved into a much more violent group who attacked innocent people, and in the Black trailer, Blake decides to leave because Adam is even willing to resort to murder. It's hard to say what Blake was willing to do for the White Fang, but it's clear that she's very ashamed of ever being associated with them. Even if Emerald has done far worse things than Blake ever did, I think she'd be the first of the main characters to consider Emerald a possible ally. But for the sake of argument, Blake is also notoriously paranoid, and that trait could cause her to be the most untrusting of a reformed Emerald. Despite Emerald being constantly annoyed by Mercury, I think it's obvious that the two are close. Would this mean that Mercury would come along with Emerald to become a good guy? Doubtful. I think it's much more likely that Emerald will have to fight Mercury to get away. Maybe she witnesses one of Salem's many underlings doing something she finds morally objectionable and tries to interfere, or she's given an order that she can't bring herself to carry out, forcing her to flee for her life. Am I the only one who would enjoy seeing Emerald's character take this path? Do you think she can be redeemed after all she's done? If you enjoyed this theory, be sure to give a like and subscribe to keep up to date with my latest RWBY theories. If you follow me, you'll never go hungry again. And as always, thanks for watching!